welcome back to the FSF podcast. This is the show that is made by nerds for nerds. Now, you may have noticed that I'm not in the normal nerdatorium, and I could have put a background on, but that just didn't seem like fun. It's too cold here in Michigan, and I live in a place where the weather hurts my face. So I came inside the house instead of working out in the garage that's not insulated. Hope you'll forgive me for this time. Anyway, our guest in the nerdatorium today has been somebody that I have been jonesing to get on the show for a considerable amount of time. Now, they've been in the entertainment industry since 1965 as the King Family Show on TV. Since then, you've heard them as one of the premier voice actors in modern Hollywood on shows like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as Leonardo in its original run. That's where I became a fan. He was also He-Man in the 2002 run of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. But you also heard him as in Lion King sequels as Simba. He's in Metal Gear Solid, Robotech, World of Warcraft, the Tick animated series. I could literally go on and on and on and on. I am so very, very excited. But tonight, with this guest, we're going to talk about their origin story, growing up around the entertainment business. He's got a book out we're going to talk about as well, and his transition to voiceover, his new book. There's lots of fun things ahead of here for us. So please help me in welcoming the ever amazing, and I can't believe they're here, Cam Clarke, to the show. Welcome to the show, Cam.
Thank you, Tim. Thanks for having me. And what a buildup. I hope I can live up to that. But you know what I heard was when you introduced that? I'm in Michigan and it's freezing. Because I'm here in LA where I'm trying to get all Christmassy. Went to the Christmas tree lot today and it's bloody 82 degrees. And I would love to trade you for the month.
I would so trade you in a heartbeat. Not even a problem. If it were up to me, we would have moved out of this state a long time. I love Michigan for about 8 months of the year. From the Burr months, I start losing my appreciation. So
yeah. And for me, LA, I love it and also this is a very warm December that we're having, but for me, it's usually the latter part of December through June. And then I want to be out of here because it's bloody hot.
I get you. All right. So
Cam, enough about the weather.
Enough about the weather. We've got things to talk about tonight, sir. All right. So one of the things I always like to ask it's the very first question I ask in every single interview is I like to talk to people about their origin story, how they got started in the business, why they got started in the business, for two reasons. Number one, I love to know what makes people tick and why they do what they do, because that makes their work more personal to me. And then secondly, I'm a giant nerd and nerds love a good origin story. But I want to ask this question a little bit different tonight because with all the research I did, it's pretty clear where your origin into the entertainment business started with the King Family TV show. However, growing up around that can be kind of difficult for some people. So in your case, I'm curious, what kept you in the entertainment business? What made you say, yes, that's exactly what I want to do for a career?
I mean, like as an adult when the family was no longer performing?
Sure. You can look at it both ways, both as a young man and then as an adult when you were now choosing your path.
I was so little. I was 6 years old when the family show, we did a pilot in 64. And I was 6 and there's like 16, 20 cousins that were, the whole troupe was on stage. Every week was 36 or 37 members. So that's like a giant musical,
right?
More than a Broadway show. Anyway, it's all I knew. And I loved it. And whether that's nature or nurture, I loved it. My love that I thought what I was going to pursue was illustration. I went to Parsons School of Design and wanting to pursue illustrating for children's books, writing and illustrations for children's books was what I loved in high school. The books, the books I had as a kid and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. But my brother, Rick, he was, the family's done. It's over by, 80. 1980, 1880. Right? Feels like that sometimes. And he was an associate producer over at Warner Brothers. And he was working on this show, a spin-off of Dukes of Hazzard called Enos. No,
Oh yeah.
Enos. And he asked me if I wanted to come in and do some background voices, because in television and film, there's a thing called looping,
Yes.
which is are you aware of
Yes.
looping? Yeah. For your folks that may not know that, it's after a film is shot, just like that's when they do the scoring, the music, or the Foley, color correction,
Mhm.
all that stuff. They hire a group of people to come in and do the fight grunts, to do the, 1 Adam 40, we have your suspect on Route 9, please respond. All those kind of things. iZombie, I worked on for the run of that show, doing zombie stuff. Also, death, sex, anything that was needed. The television that's on in the background while the main scene is going on here.
Oh yeah.
If it's a cartoon, they didn't have rights for whatever picture there. It's like you could buy the visual, but if you have the audio too, it's more expensive. There's all kinds of, little rules. So I was doing that stuff. And it's like he would, but I was at Parsons and he'd say, hey, can you come in for a session on Wednesday? I have a big, I have a big class to have a couple classes. I don't know. How bizarre is that? But I would go, and so glad I did. I was, doing a great job at Parsons, but I took the time to do this. And on, the serendipity of anyone who works freelance in the arts, you got to have the talent. Otherwise, right place, right time doesn't happen.
Right.
And right place, right time only happens if your antenna is up to figure out.
Mhm.
Right place, right time doesn't just plop in your lap and go, yo, I'm here. You have to be aware. You have to read the room and go, oh, wait. Oh, this is right place, right time. Thank you. Yeah, I got that. Thanks. And I met a couple on one of these sessions, Linda Gary and Chuck Howerton, married couple. She was huge in animation back in the 70s and 80s. And they took a shine to me. Now, they said, have you ever thought of doing this for a living? And I went, no, I said, I'm going to be a illustrator or a gigantic movie star. I'm 22, whatever. And they said, well, we think you should. I went, oh, okay. They chose to set me up with Chuck's agent, who took me, an animation coach, a straight up VO coach. And I never looked back. I still, because I auditioned for plays and for musicals and, print work and anything else. And nothing really took. I had, I got some jobs here and there doing commercials or whatever, did some plays. But when this took off, I went, oh, okay, I guess this is my pursuit. And you kind of clear the table. If you're fortunate to have fallen into something that is working, you get the focus by going, okay, musical theater isn't panning out for me. I'm going to give my focus to this. Doesn't mean you can't audition for stuff along the way, but you've given your attention to the positivity that comes from something that is, if you are fortunate enough, that is working. So I always liked the business and I never hated it. Our time within the show, being with your family, if you like your family, it was like, the words escape me. It was just like Love on Crack. Oh, that's the name of my next book, Love on Crack.
There you go.
By Cam Clarke. We had a great time. And so I didn't have, which doesn't mean that there weren't kids in the family who went, yeah, this ain't my jam, and it was over. And
Sure.
it's like, I have a cousin who's a dentist, things like that. They were like, this is great while it lasted, but this isn't my love.
Y'all have fun with that. Peace out. Bye. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. Okay. All right. So yeah, that really makes sense. I mean, you were presented with a path, and it may not have been what you thought you were headed towards, but I think that's a nice allegory for life, really. I mean, a lot of times we end up on paths that we may not have anticipated. And it's because you were paying attention, right place, right time. And sometimes that's, but you, like you said, you got to have your antennas up. You got to be paying attention. All right. So with all of that in mind, you recently put out a book called Now They're All Here, The King Family. So walk me through the impetus for that book and what can people look forward to in that book?
Now they're all, the title, which is, my cousins were like, that's your title? It's kind of a lot. I went, okay, y'all, you know what that means though. Now they're all here is the only line my grandma had on the entire run of our show. It was our 1967 Thanksgiving special. Opening number, we had this gorgeous Victorian house that's, out in Camarillo, California, that stood in for the family house. Grandma's sitting on the porch. We all the family, all 36 of us come marching up the stairs, singing Over the River and Through the Woods. And one of the little kids is holding back. We all go in, then there's a beat. He comes running up the stairs, gives grandma a peck on the cheek and runs in. And she goes, now they're all here. And just like the lines in movies that, we're not in Kansas anymore, or I'll have what she's having, or even, that's what he said, yeah. That stuff. There are lines that everybody uses from movies that are placed into their life, either as irony or dead on. And there are lines from our career. No one else uses them. But if there's a gathering of us, however many, whatever, whoever comes the last, someone will inevitably call out, hey, now they're all here. And it had that kind of a meaning, which is explained in the book. To say, what can you expect? You don't, for King family fans, I don't know how old most of your viewership is, but if you love old Hollywood, you don't even have to be literally a fan of the King family, because this covers 100 years of entertainment, 1925 to 2025. And if you're curious about that century, which includes part of this one, it covers vaudeville, radio, big band, jazz of the 20s, swing of the 40s, and bop of the 50s, sitcoms, monster movies, and ending up with me with animation and video games. So there's an arc of everything, and it's all I read a book by George Plimpton, wonderful author, on Truman Capote. Loved it. And in it, at the beginning, he goes, if you're looking for a straight up book on Capote, I recommend so-and-so and so-and-so. I'm like, really? And then he goes on to say, imagine yourself drifting you're in a cocktail party and you're eavesdropping, drifting from conversation to conversation. So there is no narrator in his book. And I went, I like that. So these 100 years, I took all the memoirs, all the interviews, all the things, and like a curator does, that's not news to anybody who's worked in, history or reports or whatever. I brought this all together, and it is all first person. I don't speak till the 1960s because I wanted the stories to be told by the person that it happened to. So I don't go, when my mom was a kid, she can tell you about that. I wasn't there. So it has a wonderful, visceral feel to you are spending a century where it is the whole thing is constantly present today. I, me, we, never they, them.
I like that. I like I spent some time on your website today and I was watching you have a couple YouTube clips on there about the book. I think one's about 4 or 5 minutes long. I think the other one was about 10. And I just thought they both gave a nice presentation of the book. And just like you said, I like the fact that it's not only about the King family and everything there, but like you said, it's a nice Hollywood history. And I'm a bit of a history buff. And so for me, that kind of piqued my interest because I was not really aware.
You're not old enough, my friend.
I am not. I am not. I'm 49, but I'm not old enough to have experienced the King family show firsthand, and I learned a lot about the King family and the King family show over the last couple weeks during research for this and looking at things. And so watching those videos really did pique my interest a little bit more about looking into this and really I think one of the things that stood out to me the most is I was reading, oh boy, where was it? I don't remember where. Okay, we'll just leave it at that. I don't remember where I read it, but I did read it today. I think it was today. Anyway, that one of the things that was most unique about your family was that whereas we see on most TV shows and things, if there's a family on like a reality TV show today, if you see them all lovey-dovey, everything, they call cut, everybody goes their own way, nobody likes each other, nobody talks to each other. And from everything I have read, that was the exact opposite with the King family.
Yeah. We have had over the years people approach us about, man, this would make a great, mini series kind of thing. Now, if you want to cover a bunch of poor kids who end up being stars in Hollywood, the King sisters, rags to riches thing, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to do it on the family, there's not enough drama. We'll go knock yourself out, right? Treatment. See if it's dramatic enough for you. Because we're just kind of like, yeah, we kind of dig each other. Were there divorces? Yes. Were there fights, squabbles, or whatever? Yeah. But there's really
your family.
There's no Jim Morrison or Elvis, or there's not that kind of stuff that would make you get your popcorn and go, oh, that horrible person. Now I feel good about myself.
Right.
So from the 60s on, it would be pretty dull, boring as far as the drama goes. So yeah, we were like, in fact, there was a Hollywood magazine, one of the TV Mirror or something like that back in the 60s. We're on the cover, and the headline is "The King Family, a loving family with a secret that will shock you." Want to know what it was?
You liked each other.
Oh, you know that? Because that's truly the answer.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
Okay. So yeah, for those of you who didn't, how about that? Isn't that insane? So
that amused me pretty deeply. I saw that and I was like, a secret that will shock you. I was like, ooh, there's some juice here. All right, cool. I got to look this up. I got to find out what this is about. Is it something? Because I don't do a whole lot of like what I consider like gotcha questions or questions that are going to make people feel uncomfortable. I want to have a good conversation. I want to have fun with my guests, right? And so I'm like, okay, is this something that I even want to dare bring up with Cam? Is this a problem? So I'm like looking, I'm like, oh, okay. So they liked each other. Cool. All right, we can talk about that.
Yeah. And there are lots of stories of child actors who had a horrible time.
Yeah.
Maybe their parents used their money, or they were lonely. Mm-hmm. Say they were the only kid on the show. Brady Bunch, there's 6 of you kids in the studio school and blah, blah, blah. So there's others around. But all the same, you have your stage mother backstage, if that's indeed who got you into this. But but we were all together, my brothers, my cousins, my aunts and uncles, the moms, the dads. So there was no separation of church and state, no separation of home and theater. And what you
Okay.
see on the shows was pretty much what we did at home. I know that's kind of crazy to think, but there was always music in the house, always singing, someone at the piano, just somebody jamming, guitar, whatever. It was always there.
I love that. I always tell people that with our house that you can tell when people are having a good day because somebody's singing.
Uh,
Either me or my daughter, or um, if one of us is singing, if I can hear if I hear my daughter in the other room and she's doing something in her bedroom and she's singing, I know that she's having a good day, and that warms my heart and makes me feel happy. Um, and it's just kind of fun for us because my daughter and I she's my little mini me. But yeah, so it's kind of fun that way for me. But I do love that when I hear stories like that where there's always music around, there's always this, and music is just like it's that beautiful gel that just kind of bonds everybody together. You find music that you find and to get and it warms your hearts and your minds, and you sing together, and it's for lack of a better term, it's almost a religious experience. You just have that come together feeling. So
my brother who passed away a couple of years ago. Oh, silence your phone, Cam. What the hell? How unprofessional. I have a holiday home in the local mountains here, San Bernardino Mountains, and once a year, there are other times too, but this one weekend, a bunch of the cousins come together and spend a weekend. My brother, and I don't know if this will translate, but I'm going to share it anyway to prove that point. And I'm not saying, aren't we fabulous? Aren't we the best? It's just, it is so. And that's why I'm telling you this.
yeah,
And we are aware how special it is. So I'm not being la-di-da at all.
no, I think that's the better part if you're aware of it.
People are arriving, and my cousin Susanna and I are arriving. We got our bag, and there's stairs going, the big stone stairs going down to this big cabin. We're heading down the stairs with our bags. My brother Ricky is coming up the stairs singing James Taylor's "Long Ago and Far Away." I'm screwing up the lyrics. Anyway, this James Taylor song. One of my next podcast, if it comes up, I need to have the lyrics with me. Anyway, so he's singing this James Taylor song. He blocks our path, not blocks, but we can't get by him. And he's playing on his guitar, and Susanna and I just start singing the backups as JT would have done him on the song. Rick is singing the lead, and Susanna and I are, doing the Joni Mitchell, Carly Simon in the background. The verse ends, and he steps out of the way, and we head on in and go, yeah. So anyway, you're going to be in this room this weekend. And I became aware of what a knee jerk. It wasn't like, hey, guys, stop. Hey, I'm playing this JT song. Let's groove. It was just, he had his guitar and he was singing. So it's just like having a conversation. It's instead of going, hey guys, you made it safely. Great. Yeah. I've been here a couple hours. It's just like far away. And I'm going to screw up the lyrics again, but it's a great JT song. But
I love it. That's awesome.
It was just so.
So yeah, it wasn't forced. It just happened. It's just part of who you are. I think that's beautiful. You really do. All right. So one of the things I discovered about you, Cam, over the last little bit is while doing some research, things I had not learned beforehand. It was just that about your musical talent, your ability, your musical background. I had no idea before doing research for this interview that you could sing. And you, by the way, have a lovely voice. So, and I mean that wholeheartedly.
Thank you.
And I heard, then it's like, wait a minute, he sang for Simba? What? I was like, what? Really? He did it? Really? This is a thing? So I had to go look at that. And I pulled up songs of you singing that. And I'm like, Simba's Pride. I watched that. I didn't know that was Cam Clarke singing. That's
And it
awesome.
sounded something like this.
Kira, how can you not want to be queen? Well, that's like saying you don't want to be a lion. We are all part of the circle of life.
This is one of my sad stories. Matthew Broderick, who originated the role, decided he
Yes.
didn't want to come back for the sequel, whatever. There is a department at Disney that is solely about keeping their iconic characters sounding exactly the same.
Sure.
How old is Minnie Mouse? Whatever, the 20 something. Many women have played that, but she has not strayed from the sound. They've not made her hip, updated her, whatever. Bugs always sounds like Bugs.
Right.
So he's talking to one of my buddies, Jim Cummings, who is Tigger and Pooh and all kinds of amazing characters. And he said, Broderick doesn't want to come back. And we're starting to film this and da. And he just kind of nonchalantly goes, yeah, Cam Clarke does a great Matthew Broderick. And he goes, oh, okay. So he called me in, and I think it was just formal. I think he took Jim's word for it, but of course I auditioned. But
sure.
So I recorded about 4/5 of the entire script. And in animation, as you kids may know, it takes a long time. And I was probably involved in the project about a year because scenes would be done, redone, and, all the stuff. It's long. And I'm heading towards the barn at a session. We're getting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And one of the suits comes into the studio, the big recording room over at Disney. And he says, yeah, guys, hang on a second. Cam, can I talk to you? I went, yeah. Broderick had decided
he changed his mind.
He wanted to come back. And I was so crestfallen, but they said, we love your singing voice, so we're going to keep you on the theme song. And, Hollywood is as Hollywood does, but I was thrilled that I still got to be a part of the franchise. And then he did decide I'm done. And I've taken over the role since the second movie there.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, that was kind of a big surprise for me today. I was like, oh, no kidding. I'll be dipped.
I'm full of surprises.
Yes, you are, sir. Yes, you are. All right. So, Cam, the white elephant in the room question here. And I can't go a whole conversation without talking to you in at least some form or fashion about your time as Leonardo for TMNT.
That ain't no elephant. That's a turtle.
Yes, exactly. However, Leo was actually my favorite turtle, and that's one of the reasons why
you have good taste in turtles.
So when me and my buddies, we'd watch the cartoon, and then we go out because I grew up out in the woods in the rural counties here in Michigan, and my buddy's family had like 150 acres out in the woods, and it went down to this river, and we'd go out and we'd play Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles out in the woods, and I'd run out and I'd grab two sticks that were kind of similar in size, and those were my katanas, and we'd go out there and we would just wail on each other, because and then we always had to pick one of us guys that was going to be Shredder in the Foot Clan. And yeah, so whenever it was your turn, you were pretty much going to get your ass kicked from pillar to post that afternoon. We're throwing crab apples as Chinese stars. We have sticks.
I love it.
All kinds. And I'm sure that you hear stories like this all the time at Comic-Cons, because I know you do quite a few of them. Yeah. But do you ever tire of people coming up to you and saying, this is how I grew up with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and this is what I did because of watching your show?
It can be exhausting, spending 3 days doing that.
Yeah.
But do I tire of it? The human part of me goes, yeah, I need to take a breather here. But do I tire of it, the relationships, of meeting people and spending 3 days getting paid to have someone say thank you for my childhood? No, never tire of that. And not from the POV of it's strokes, it's aren't I all that? It's a deeper thing of, wow, I guess there was an impact. And these stories are just, some of them are not just me in my pajamas with cereal in front of the TV. Some of them are darker. Some of them are deeper.
Yeah.
I was an only child, or I was in a broken home, or foster care, and the turtles were my escapism. Entertainment, after all, is escapism.
Escapism. Absolutely.
Documentaries, maybe not, I mean, not across the board, but the things we do for entertainment, they take us away. And there are also a lot of, I want to say kids, but adult, in their 20s, 30s, who are heavily on the spectrum. And I did not get the handbook for that when I started. But I've learned to know what is expected of me in return if someone won't meet my eyes, if someone is weaving, if someone has their hands up here as they talk. And the most fulfilling thing is you see their parents knowing that many of these kids will never get to live on their own.
Yeah.
And they come up to our table, lots of us, not just the turtles, but all my dear friends who do this stuff. And the parents have tears in their eyes because they see their babies who are locked in this world shine and open up and become cognitive or available for something more organic. That doesn't mean that some are so deep into it that you sometimes don't know if they even heard you, but it's an engagement that their parents are just back there, like this, and that is so fulfilling. Townsend Coleman, who played Michelangelo, had a guy come up to him this year at a show. Was a soldier.
Okay.
And he'd done a tour in Afghanistan, in a couple of tours, different wars. And he showed Townie this raggedy patch of Mikey. And it did kind of look like the Velveteen Rabbit, it had been loved.
Yes.
And, oh, that's so beautiful. And Townsend hands it back to him and goes, no, I need you to have it. And she's like, but he goes, I wore this on my fatigues. It was sewn on my jacket. And each morning when I would get dressed to go out into the fray, into the line, I would touch the patch and I'd say, Mikey is with me and he'll help me know what to do.
Oh, wow.
And he wanted Townie to have it. Well, there was not a dry eye on our team.
Yeah.
I see it gets you too. Well, it's just,
It's
there isn't a
beautiful.
word. Rob Paulson is the one who is ubiquitous, Pinky and the Brain, Animaniacs, etc. He calls me up and goes, Cam, you got to do this. You okay, buddy?
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm a big softie, so yeah.
Yeah, me too. And he goes, I've been doing these Comic-Cons. I went, dude, no way. That's too people-y. And who's going to want our autograph? Now, I know my name was going to be in the book of animation performers. I mean,
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
not going to play humble pie. I knew I'd had a terrific, fortunate career. And he says, will you just come to one? And so the four of us got to dinner, went out to dinner like a bunch of old Shriners. And he said, all right, we're in. And I didn't know that the cons were about nostalgia.
Oh,
So
yeah.
when I get there and I realize I am not just an asterisk or on page 42 for the 1980s, I went, oh, that's what this is. This is, I mean, they're all ages, but your main thread. How old are you?
I'm 49.
Okay, then and I think most of us, as life goes on, when you hit about 40, midlife, and you realize, wow, there's a lot of time behind me that is indeed behind me.
Right.
And I know it happened to me. You start reaching for what you recall, whether it's true or not, what was safe, what was simple, what was clean and clear. And you long for whether you were born in 1820 or 1932, I think humans have this innate thing where they hearken back to what has the memories, the faded photographs have created a
Yeah.
simplicity. Even if you had a horrible childhood, there is something that the turtles or bugs or whoever,
Yeah. Whatever that silver lining was at that time of your life.
Kukla, Fran, and Ollie, Betty Boop, all of those things, kids, not that Betty Boop was for kids, scratch her on that list. But at that age, you start looking back.
Agreed.
And I know my midlife crisis, I bought my childhood back. I bought back all the toys I either had or wanted as a kid. And where my room that has my piano, one wall, a lot of you guys, I've seen your collections and it, wall-to-wall turtles or whatever your gig is, Star Wars or whatever. And I have this beautiful display of the thing, and it goes from probably like 1960 through like 72. And in a former life, not former life, but had I been born 50 years earlier, I would have loved to have been a window dresser on like Madison, or not Madison, but
Yeah. I get what you mean.
in New York and do all
Yeah.
those wonderful windows. So just like, and playing with your toys is often like being a window dresser. You're
Oh, for sure.
setting
Yeah.
them up and the position is important. So I had such fun when I'd over 20 years gathered all this stuff back and this guy is going to be, I'm going to make his arm be here on this guy in the lunch boxes. This one needs to be next to that one. And all the toys, and I have gathered them back. But I promised myself they would stay in the toy room. You know how it's like heroin, some of these toy collections where the entire house, you can't even sit down or you'll sit on part of your collection.
It may be overflowing here. And my wife and I have had a talk about that. So, oh boy. Well, hey, Cam, we're at a point in this show, and as much as I would love to sit here and talk with you for hours, I know you've got some things to do. But we're at a point in this interview where I would love to ask you a silly question.
Go for it. I'm ready.
Okay, it's not actually all that silly. It comes from one of our the show partners here, the show members rather. Her name is Kathleen, and Kathleen has a little girl who's about 6 years old now. And Honor, if you're watching this, Uncle Tim does remember how old you are, just not in the moment. Anyway, she's about 6 years old, 6.5 maybe right now. And Honor and her mom were out walking around, and somebody asked her this question, but not Kathleen.
Child?
Which
The
Kathleen?
child or the mom?
Yeah, they asked the child the question, but not the mom. And the mom was like, well, that's rude. You should never age out of that question. And that question is, Cam Clarke, what's your favorite dinosaur?
I love that question. But Papa loves all his dinosaurs the same. In the old 50s sci-fi movies with where it was claymation kind of thing, and they do that, I think I loved the Brontosaurus because he was a plant eater, because we all were raised to hate T-Rex. And of course, pterodactyl.
Nice.
I'd say those, because I, like in Fred Flintstone, I wanted to. Geez, so sorry in that sweet moment. I was so jealous that Fred got to, ride on a Brontosaurus working in the quarry. Thought that would be so cool. What's your favorite?
Triceratops.
And why?
Because growing up, before I was really getting into rhinos or Triceratops, I was into rhinos, and I thought rhinos were really cool, like modern day dinosaur. They had that big horn. I thought, and then I found out about Triceratops, and I was like, oh my God, it's a triple rhino. And that's what I used to call them, was triple rhino. And so, yeah, I've always just thought that was really, really cool. And yeah, I just always.
Does that mean then you're a fan of Rocksteady? Because I know Rhino.
I did like Rocksteady. Yeah. But yeah. So that, for me, that was always it. I in my mind, that was like, that's the modern day Triceratops. They just lost a couple horns. So
dig it.
But yeah. All right, Cam, thank you so much for being on the FSF podcast today. Where can our listeners and or viewers go to find out more about you, your work, your book, whatever you got coming up?
Right. My page, camclarkevoices.com, and that's Clarke has an E, Clarke. I show clips. I have of the old King family stuff. You might find that a hoot if you check those out. And I do interviews with my friends, other kid actors and such, and my cousins and stuff. And there you can also see where to buy the book, and also you can find it on Amazon. So that's pretty much where. Who is in charge of this phone? It's on silent, but I'm this old dude who sets alarms for every 5 minutes, and it goes off, and I go, I have no idea what that's for until I look. Oh, yeah, you have a meeting at 2:00. I set an alarm for this, because I'm like, squirrel.
I get that.
Yeah, but okay, so yeah, camclarkevoices.com, and at Amazon, that's where you can find out all about me, and if you want autographs and such, it's all there. And then Amazon for the book. And in this book, those of us, just to recall this back, any of us who had solo careers, there is a step out chapter for each of us. My cousin Tina Cole on the sitcom My Three Sons. My uncle Alvino Ray, who was a jazz legend and one of the inventors of the slide guitar, worked with Gibson. Wow. Personally. My dad was the king of the B horror flick in the 50s. And so there's his stories about these cheapo, 1950s schlocky movies. And then I have a step out chapter with a lot of stuff that, Tim and I have covered, is in there with, and this is all photographs. It's a coffee table book. So lush photography from all these eras. So you can find out about me there. Cool. And I always announce what cons are coming up. We're going to be in Florida in a place called Lakeland. Anyone from Lakeland?
Lakeland's a place.
In mid-January.
Okay.
So there you have it. Yeah. That's
Well,
that's the long and the longer of it.
okay. Well, I'll make sure we put some links down below, not only for your website, but we'll put an Amazon link down there too, so people can have a nice hot click to go straight to Amazon and get your book. So they'll be able to check that out pretty easily. Now, guys, this also seems like just a fantabulous time to remind you that if you're not already following the FSF podcast here on this YouTube channel, now seems like a good old time to click that subscribe button. We like to call it the follow button because it costs you $0. Usually there's a cost to subscriptions. This one costs you $0. So follow us here on YouTube. And you're doing that helps us get more amazing guests like Cam Clarke here today and funny moments for you to be able to listen to and enjoy. So please consider following our show. It helps us more than I can ever really tell you. And be sure to check out Cam's work already. I know you already have, but there's some other cool stuff that you're going to learn about, that I learned about, and there's a whole lot of fun stuff. So with that being said, on behalf of Cam Clarke, thank you for listening and or watching the FSF podcast today, and may the force be with you as you continue to live long and prosper. Goodbye.
Copyright 2025 FSF Podcast. Reference to any specific product or entity mentioned on this podcast does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by FSF Podcast. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. If you have any questions about this disclaimer, please contact us via email at info@fsfpodcast.com.